So Peter Claver lived in a time when slavery was illegal. However, even though it was condemned by the Pope, it was condemned by many jurisdictions, there were people who were going to parts of Africa and they were bringing them as slaves to America, to South America, to places like Colombia. And Peter Claver was a Jesuit priest who was very good at learning languages. And he was taken to Colombia as a Jesuit priest to minister to the people there. And he started learning the languages of the people coming from Africa. There had previously been a Jesuit in Colombia who had worked and ministered with some of the people who had been brought from slavery to Colombia. And there are different approaches that you could take in such a situation. You could say, well, slavery is illegal and all we're going to do is we're going to try our very best to eliminate slavery. But if you're only just one person, what can one person do to eliminate and change a whole trade that was happening with people? And Peter Claver thought what God was asking him to do was to minister to those in slavery, was to love them as Christians, and was to help others to love the slaves and to treat them with dignity and respect. And his hope that this would then lead to others wanting to give freedom to the slaves. He learnt their languages. As the boats would arrive into Colombia, he would go out onto the boats and start to speak to these people from Africa who were arriving. Some of the history says that some of these people who were arriving, they thought they were being sent a little bit like cattle to be eaten by foreign people. They didn't realise they were going to become ones who were going to build mines and roads in forced labour for the rest of their lives. Peter Claver had a love for every single human being. This is the love of Jesus Christ, and this is a love that we should have as well. Jesus Christ doesn't discriminate between men and women, between people from one country or another. We are all made in God's image and likeness, and Peter understood this. And he proclaimed this in everything. He learnt the languages of people, he listened to the stories, and he did what he could to lift people up. He provided health care, he provided supports, he provided food to those who had nothing. To those who were beaten, those who were mistreated, he would do what he could to make sure they were not mistreated again. He would engage in conversations with slave owners. Is that the right thing to do? Well, perhaps today, maybe not. But that's what Peter did, to try to help and protect every single person. What a great hero. He's the patron saint of slaves. He's the patron saint of slaves in all sorts of countries. He's a hero in parts of the United States and in different parts of America. He's not so well known in Australia because we haven't been impacted by slavery from Africa in the same way that other parts of our world have. But we know the stories around the world even today. Peter Claver is said to have baptised 300,000 people who were slaves during his time as a priest, his life as a priest. 300,000. And he heard about 5,000 confessions every year of people who were in slavery. He listened to them, he heard their stories, he brought the mercy of God. Let us love like this. Let us love like Jesus does and like Peter Claver did. To not discriminate between people of all sorts of different backgrounds. Oh, I don't understand you, I don't understand your language, I'm fearful of you. Peter's response was, this is a human being. The mercy of God is coming to this person, and we're going to bring the love of God to this person. It is an incredible story. He died yesterday, 8th of September in 1654, was beatified and then canonised. And he's considered a saint in many Christian traditions because of his courageous heroism in relation to caring for people with slavery. Slavery still exists today, we know this, in different parts of the world, and even we are impacted by it here. Let's do what we can to eliminate slavery, but as Peter Claver did as well, let's do what we can to bring dignity, love and respect to every human being, because they are made in God's image, they are made in God's likeness, and they are dressed in love. St. Paul, writing in our first reading today, said that over all things we put on love. Let's do this today. Let's do this in the way of St. Peter Claver. St. Peter Claver, pray for us.